The Murdaugh case is something that's been blowing up all over the internet, and I've done a deep dive into it research-wise, and I can see why. We're going to do a quick little summary of it for those who want to jump into the case with where it's at now, and then we're going to do a deep dive. This part's the summary, and here we go.
Some of my content has mention of extreme violence, sexual assault, and/or other triggering content. Discretion is advised.
All right. Hey, everybody.
Hello.
We are back. So this probably is going to come out before the time I did another case that we have coming up.
No, because that one comes out Tuesday.
That comes out Tuesday. Well, I don't know. I was thinking we could turn this one around quick, too. We'll see. I know it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure on you. We'll see. Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe.
Either way.
This is the Murdaugh case.
But Drew is explaining this case today.
I am explaining it. She is the one who currently doesn't know anything about it.
I know I keep getting notifications and keep ignoring it. So.
Yep. And this is an ongoing case. We're going to have to use allegedly a lot because stories are changing, facts are changing, still legal stuff. Pretty much, there's multiple cases even involved here, and none of them are resolved yet. So we're going to use allegedly a lot.
Allegedly.
And I, like Sarah said, I'm going to be running this case, and you may actually see the other one first that I ran. So I'm sorry I'm not giving you much of a chance to say that you don't like me running cases.
Too bad, so sad.
Yep. But I just happened to get really interested in this case and did a lot of research, and we wanted to get it to you guys while the case is still ongoing. The main case, at least. The current case.
It's still in trial.
Still in trial.
So, yeah.
So this video is going to be a summary of the cases that are involved in this. We're going to try to give you at the end, a little bit of the current status of where it's at. Because like Sarah said, it's in trial. Some things are happening in trial. And there are things after the Netflix documentary even. So first thing I would say, there's a new Netflix documentary on these Murdaugh murders. I apologize. I'm going to say Murdaugh a lot because that's how it's spelled to me, but they kind of pronounce it Murdaugh. So I'm going to try to say both. Well, I'm going to try to say Murdaugh, but I'm going to probably say both. So anyways, let's jump into it.
We're going to also try to keep on track on this. I know that there was a comment that said that we're kind of all over the place. That's usually how we run things. But this is a good case for those who just like strictly case, because hopefully we don't get too off track.
So our deep dive, we probably will get off track.
Yeah.
Just letting you guys know. But this one, we're going to try to stay on track, stick to the timeline and the cases. The timeline on this is really confusing because things kind of came out of order. So that's why we're also going to try to stick to the facts on this one and try to, not have too many tangents because this one's hard to follow.
Also, I want to say, if you are watching the YouTube video, you notice Drew doesn't have any notes at all. If you're on Spotify, Drew has no notes that he is looking off of. And I am super impressed on this because I can't do off the dome cases. So.
Well, we're going to see if I can because I may mess up some things. So I cannot do the deep dive without notes, but I think I can do a high level without notes. We'll see.
Let's get into it. I'm excited.
Let's go. All right. So as I was saying, this one won't be too bad on spoilers, but if you are worried about spoilers, I would go watch the Netflix documentary. I believe it's called the Murdaugh Mysteries or the Murdaugh Murders or something along that line. And they have that on Netflix, and then they have 48 hours on CBS or Paramount Plus that go over this as well. And then there is a website, a news channel out there that is actually on YouTube that is covering this case. They have legal experts that come on. They have actual live footage of the court case, and then they also have even had body cam footage of one of the arrests, which I found pretty interesting. So go check those out if you want more information or if you're worried about getting spoilers from us. If you want to jump into it quick, here we go.
Okay.
All right. So the timeline starts at, I shouldn't say the timeline starts, but most of this case starts blowing up. Starts blowing up recently, like in the last couple of years. But the major thing that started the chain of events, as we know for sure, was a boat crash in 2019. So this is in South Carolina. The Murdaugh family, the Murdaugh family, is a very wealthy family. They are very powerful in the fact that they have a family full of attorneys. They even have their own law firm in South Carolina. So this is a very well-connected family. And I think the reason this case is blowing up is because people are interested in the fact that, well-connected families can make things disappear, or they can, especially attorneys and things like that, they can represent themselves. They know what to put out in the media, what not to put out in the media. And so now all of a sudden, this, wealthy, well-connected family is all of a sudden in the media, have all these legal issues. And now all of a sudden this untouchable family seems like maybe it wasn't so untouchable.
Fall from grace type of thing.
Yeah, and I think that kind of captured the interest of a lot of people around the country because that doesn't usually happen. Right. Big, powerful family. And this family goes back to the 1920s, in terms of being in power. They're basically a family of solicitors is what they...
My phone keeps going off. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's a family of it says solicitors. To me, I think...
What does that mean?
Well, so the way they describe it is it's kind of like an attorney general.
Oh, okay.
But it's called a solicitor. And I think there's some differences. I'm not as versed in the legal side of things to know the differences really. But I think it sounds like they're basically, it's like an attorney general, which is pretty high in the legal system. And it's mostly for that area. It's not like a statewide thing. But they're very well connected in the area, obviously, because a lot of cases ran through them. Okay. So this family goes back to the 20s. It's a multi-generation legal family, a legal firm. And they go all the way up to the current generation, which is Buster Murdaugh and Paul Murdaugh. And their father is Alec Murdaugh, who we're going to be talking about a lot about here.
And are they all attorneys?
So they said Alec is an attorney, but he is not a solicitor. Like, he didn't follow that close in the footsteps where he's like the same level as his dad was.
Okay.
But he's still an attorney. He still went to law school.
Okay. And his kids?
And his kids are, Buster went to law school. We'll get into this in the deep dive, but Buster actually got expelled from law school for plagiarism.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yes, Buster was attempting to follow the family footsteps. Paul, I don't think was old enough to quite do that just yet.
Okay.
So let's jump into the boat crash. This is the first series of events, really. This was in 2019 in South Carolina, like I said. So these kids, I'm going to call them kids because they were around, they were all under the legal drinking age. They're all around 19, 18, but they were all drinking, partying, having a good time. Those who have grown up in a small town like I did know that that's not uncommon, although it is illegal. It's not uncommon for kids to drink at a young age. Like, people tend to care a little less about it rules tend to be a little looser. Whether they should be or shouldn't be, that's a different discussion.
Mm-hmm.
So Paul is part of the Murdaugh family, so they have a lot of money. They allegedly, this is one of the allegedly, they heard that there was going to be DUI checkpoints. Paul heard this, I believe, and they wanted to take the boat to where they were going, to a oyster feed party. So, and there's going to be alcohol at the party, things like that. Well, so they take it from his house. They end up going to the oyster feed. They stop at a bar on the way back. And
so did they take the boat to avoid the checkpoints?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
Which is a thing that I didn't even know was a thing.
Me neither. We don't have boats. We're in Kansas.
We don't have boats. We barely even have rivers.
Right.
So they go to the oyster feed. On the way back, they stop at a bar, which most of the people did not want to even stop at the bar. A lot of people were getting too drunk. Everybody kind of just wanted to be done, kind of wanted to be home. You know how it is. The more sober people at the party are kind of like, everybody's getting a little out of hand here. But everybody had been drinking. But yeah, I think everybody was kind of, let's get home. So they come back from the bar, and there is a lot on the Netflix documentary of video footage of all this, because this is 2019. So there's a lot of cameras, and they caught Paul buying alcohol. They caught Paul going into the bar with one of his friends. They caught them walking back out to the boat dock. It is easy to see that Paul was very drunk. So this is Paul Murdaugh, the son of Alec Murdaugh. And they get in the boat, and on the way home, there was some fighting. Paul says it's his boat. This is according to the people that are on the boat. Paul says it's his boat and that he should drive his boat. But then he keeps going back and fighting with his girlfriend. His girlfriend, I might mess up the name. This is where I could have used my notes. Morgan Doty. The friends were kind of just finding out here that, they had feelings that the relationship wasn't great, but he actually, according to those on the boat, was so belligerently drunk that he actually abused her, even on the ride back.
Oh, dang.
He spit on her. He slapped her.
Oh, gosh.
So he was going back and forth between taking the wheel and then he'd go back and fight with her. And Connor Cook was one of the friends that was on the boat, and he would keep grabbing the wheel. And Paul would go back and fight. Connor would hold the wheel and try to slow the boat down and try to get him home safely. This is all according to kind of the Netflix documentary.
Allegedly.
Yeah. And then Paul would come up. He would be like, "It's my effing boat." He would take back the wheel. They had said he was even doing donuts in the boat. So Paul sounds like he was belligerently drunk, being completely unsafe here. And the boat unfortunately hit they have a specific name for it, but it's basically the pillars on a bridge.
Okay.
And so the boat crashed, ejecting everybody from the boat.
Dang.
There are 6 people.
And Paul was driving?
Paul was driving.
Okay.
There are 6 people. Of those 6 people, all 6 were ejected. There were 3 couples of 2, basically.
Okay.
So it was like a triple date, not a double date. It was like a triple date. Okay. And the one that I mentioned earlier, Mallory Beach. Mallory Beach is actually our victim in this. She was one of the ones ejected from the boat. Everybody in the boat was hurt, had some form of injuries. She was ejected from the boat, though, and of those 6, she's the one that didn't actually make it to shore. And so the 5 of them were looking for Mallory when they called 911. They called 911, and Mallory was still not there. They were screaming for Mallory. They were searching for Mallory. The police get there, and Anthony Cook, who was Mallory's boyfriend and also Connor's cousin, you remember Connor was the one taking the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Cook was Mallory's boyfriend, and I can't state this enough. I wish nothing but the best for Anthony, because that poor guy, I don't know what else you would want from a boyfriend. So they almost everybody, I think, except for him, got taken to the hospital, and he was supposed to go to the hospital. He had a shoulder injury, but he would not leave until they found Mallory, and he was out there with them looking. He was on camera of the police footage cussing at Paul because apparently Paul smiled, and he was like, "Why the F are you smiling? My girlfriend is gone." Just screaming at him and like screaming he did this. And Anthony stayed there. I think they said he had like a separated shoulder or something, and he wouldn't go.
Okay.
So unfortunately, and then we'll get more into, there's a lot more detail to all of this, but this is high level. So unfortunately, 7 days later, they found Mallory.
Jeez.
5 miles down the river, and she'd passed away.
Wow.
Mallory, I always want to shine a light on the victims here. Mallory, by all accounts, was sweet. She was nice. She was just everybody's best friend. Not a single bad word about Mallory was said in any of the documentaries. The parents loved her so much, and it crushed them, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
Anthony, I don't feel like Anthony's, the way he talks, I don't feel like he's been the same since it happened.
That's traumatic.
He was there all 7 days in the search.
Dang. He loved her.
Yeah, and somebody even said, I think it was one of his parents, said they heard him say, "If she were to walk out of this water right now, I would marry her right here."
Oh.
So I really hope for peace for him, because he struggled with this, still struggling with it. So more on all of that in the deep dive.
Okay.
But this is the first timeline, is 2019.
Okay.
Fast forward to 2021. So Alec Murdaugh, sorry. I'm going to mess that up a lot.
It's okay.
Alec Murdaugh is the father of Paul, and he calls 911 and says that his wife and his son, Paul, have been shot, and shot badly.
Okay, it's getting real.
Yes.
Okay.
So 2 years later.
Did he ever get, hold on just a second, I wanted to make sure, did Paul ever get any repercussions for the boat accident? Or are we getting there?
Well, it was ongoing.
Ongoing. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right.
It was ongoing. There was a lot of people that were like, Paul didn't even get, like, he already was getting special treatment. A lot of people felt, because he had to, they had to take a picture after one of his court hearings. He didn't have to go to jail for a day. Like, he wasn't in the jail jumpsuit. He was in his polo shirt. They said, "Okay, go ahead and cuff him." And they're like, "No, we don't need that." Yeah. So
rich white man.
So Paul never actually served any time in jail, but the case was going on and he could have.
Okay.
But it hadn't gotten to the point where he got to a jury before this happened with the shooting.
Okay.
So
now he's shot and the mom shot.
Okay. This is where the body cam footage from the news coverage I was telling you about was out there, was of Alec Murdaugh calling the police, calling 911. The police show up. There's body cam footage of it. We'll get into this in the deep dive. There's 2 separate sets of people, separate sets of feeling, where they're sitting there going, "Oh, he was too calm." But then there's a set of people going, "No, he wasn't too calm," and you don't know how you'd react.
Right.
So we'll get into that later, but it's out there. So he calls, says that his wife Maggie and son Paul had been shot. He says he gets the police out there. He tells them his series of events, which was that he had gone to visit his father and mother. His father apparently has health issues, and his mother is battling dementia.
Okay.
So he said that he was gone and wasn't on the property at the time, and that his son and wife were shot. He came back, and he was the one who found them. It was alleged that they believe the timeline is 9 o'clock is when they were shot, and he got back. He called at 10.
Okay.
So an hour after they got shot. In this, when they show up, Alec says he believes the reason why to the responding officer believes the reason why this happened was people have been, according to him, have been threatening Paul over the boat accident.
Okay.
This is why those timelines fall into place, because a lot of people were apparently, and that sounds like rightfully so, but a lot of people were apparently rightfully mad at Paul about the boat accident still. And I did want to point out too, when we said Paul was drunk, according to, I think it was CBS or even 48 Hours, Paul had a blood alcohol content of 0.24, which is 3 times the legal limit.
Ooh.
And he was underage.
Okay.
So Paul was very drunk. That part is not in question.
Okay.
So that brings us to the current trial. The current trial is, did Alec Murdaugh murder Paul and Maggie?
So
his
both of
wife
them
and son?
died.
Both of them died.
Okay.
Deep dive, we'll get into how they were shot, things like that, because
Okay.
there's a lot of interesting pieces there. But that's the current case that's blowing up right now, is this Alec Murdaugh case about Paul and Maggie.
Okay.
So there are more cases, though, that come to light around this time. So Alec had, I don't even know if I should say allegedly here, because he admits this in the current court case that he had been stealing money from his clients. So he admits that he had been lying about stealing money from his clients in the current court case that's going on. I don't know if that was on the Netflix documentary. I don't think it was, that he actually admitted to it.
Mm-hmm.
He was just accused at the time. But now here in the last couple days, he's been on the stand and he's been saying that he was stealing money from his clients.
So there's proof of that, I'm sure.
Right, but this case is not for that. So
Right.
when it comes time for that case about stealing money, who knows if I assume he is going to get, convicted of that based on this, but you never know because it's a totally different case.
Okay.
But he's not going to get in trouble right now for saying that on the stand here.
Okay.
More things started to come out, though, about mysterious deaths around the Murdaughs, around the time that people started digging into this case, saying, did he murder his wife and son? Well, they start digging into the family's history, and there was a boy that died. His name was Stephen Smith. This was in 2015. So we're going back to even before the boat accident.
Okay. Stephen
Smith died in the middle of the road on a kind of country. As they say country road, I don't feel like it's fully a country road because I've seen country roads.
Paved?
It's paved.
Okay, then it's not a country road.
Right. It's paved, so I'm not going to call it a country road. If you haven't been on a dirt road, then yeah, that's a country road. But so he was found, and this is what was odd. He was found in the middle of the road.
Okay.
Dead middle of the road. Not on the side, just straight in the middle. He's found shoes on, loose-fitting shoes apparently, and they called it a hit and run. That's important because people don't think the injuries were consistent with a hit and run. They say with loose-fitting shoes, even if you get hit at like 30 miles an hour, they would come off.
Yeah.
The mother said his injuries were from blunt force trauma to, she said, from like his right eye to the back of his head. And so, but there was no other injuries according to the reports.
That's fishy.
There's no road rash. There was none of that.
Because that's a vehicle hitting you in the head and nowhere else.
So I think it was the coroner that said, no, it was the pathologist, I think, that said this, which I don't fully know. I thought pathologists mostly did blood analysis, but maybe they also can do forensics analysis. I'm not sure there. But the pathologist said they believed it was caused by him being hit by a side view mirror on a passing by car. So,
I mean, I could see that.
I could kind of see it.
Is he short, though?
Well, it could be a tall truck, too.
Could be, yeah.
I mean,
that'll be interesting to look into.
It will be. And I will say this, though. The reason why a lot of people were already suspicious of this case is because Stephen was openly gay.
Okay.
And this is in a small town in the South, not very accepted at the time, still probably is not. Unfortunately, it should be, in my opinion, but it's not very accepted. And this is how it connects to the Murdaughs, is apparently there were rumors floating around that Buster, one of the sons, was intimate with Stephen.
Okay.
It's a rumor. There was literally nothing I've seen proving that there was any connection there. But when there's a rumor like that, people tend to point the finger at the Murdaughs, especially when they have this going on now.
Right.
So this came to light after everybody knew about the accident, but it had kind of been dropped.
Okay.
It was a cold case. Everybody was kind of saying it was a hit and run. Some people were saying there's rumors, even at the time, that the Murdaughs were involved. But nothing's really come of it still to this day as to who did it. The mother believes it's a hate crime. She doesn't believe it was a hit and run. She is still working with a private investigator, and the private investigator, actually, it might have been an attorney. Sorry if I get my facts wrong there, but she is still working with someone on that, and they said they have a suspect that is actually not connected to the Murdaughs. Okay. So it is possible that this case does not have anything to do with the Murdaughs.
Okay.
But it is kind of good that this case is bringing that one back to the surface, because that mother should get justice. And even if it's not a Murdaugh that did it, it would still be amazing for that mother to have closure of what actually happened.
Agreed.
So a lot of people thought the Murdaughs were sweeping that under the rug, though, because when their names started getting floated out with the rumors, it looked bad on them. So they felt like, at the very least, the Murdaughs were not helping in that case. We'll get more into that in the deep dive, but here's one more.
Oh my gosh.
After Stephen Smith's case,
this reminds me of, like, there's that movie, and it has nothing to do with this, but It Follows, where, like, death follows you or whatever.
Oh, like
that's this family
kind of thing.
Kind of. Well, it's a whole different thing, but that's this family. They can't get away from.
Yeah, it's
bad luck, quote unquote.
What a lot of people feel with this case is that, and this one's even more closely tied than, I don't want to say than all the others. It's more closely tied to the family than the Stephen Smith one.
Okay.
So we're fast forwarding to, I think it was 2018, maybe 2019. So months before the boat accident.
Okay.
So I'll do the timeline again at the end, because this jumps around so much. But this is before the boat accident.
But after Stephen. Okay, I'm with you.
So they had a housekeeper, and her name was Gloria. Now, Gloria, they ended up calling 911 for Gloria, that she had, according to Maggie, the mother, on the call, Gloria had been tripped by the family's dogs, which they did have dogs. They have dog kennels. They have hunting dogs, all kinds of.
They do not need to be hunting.
They well, and I'll get into that on the deep dive too, but they
wonderful.
basically live in a hunter's paradise. Like
Yay.
it is, I think it said like 170 some acres, hunting land, fishing land, all kinds of stuff. Dog kennels for hunting. But according to the 911 call, the dog tripped Gloria. She fell. She hit her head. The mother, Maggie, called 911 and said, you know, we need somebody out here. Gloria fell down the stairs and hit her head. This is outside the house on the front porch steps.
Okay.
And yeah, so Gloria had hit her head, and they come out, and I think Gloria was alive when they got to the scene. They take her to the hospital, and she passed away. Is I believe how the events went there. So their housekeeper, Gloria, had passed away. Here's where, and also to this, you know, Paul was kind of a troublemaker, but Anthony, who you remember was the boyfriend, had been friends with Paul forever.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, there is no way he would do anything to her, because he said that she was like a mother figure to him.
Right.
So he loved her. They don't think Paul had anything to do with it. He might have been there that day, or maybe not, but he's not a suspect. But they're starting to think maybe Alec was involved, because remember, Alec was stealing money from clients.
Mm.
Alec had taken an insurance policy out on the entire property, a commercial insurance property.
Oh no.
And there is a current ongoing case that they said in the news somewhere, and this is where the family first saw it, Gloria's family first saw it, that there was a settlement on Gloria's case, and that the kids of Gloria were paid out $500,000.
Okay.
They all looked at each other and they said, "Did you get $500,000?"
Oh no.
None of them got any money.
Oh.
None of them knew about any kind of a settlement, and there was no money given to the family. So what happened? Well, turns out that Alec Murdaugh had taken out that insurance policy and had claimed $4.3 million from it. And the family got none of it.
Oh my
and
gosh.
allegedly all the money went to Alec's pocket.
Ugh.
So that case is also still open. It was ruled a natural death by natural causes, which that people also disagree with, because at the very least,
it should be accidental.
It should be accidental. She was tripped by the dogs and fell.
Mm-hmm.
So that already, people were like, "Oh, that's weird." Like,
I want to deep dive into why they ruled that the way that they did, because I wonder if it was like she hit her head and then had an aneurysm. And so
that'd be good to deep dive for that too.
I'm not going to get into that now, but that'd be interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, so powerful, well-connected family, a lot of people think that he had influence over the coroner. But that's allegedly, nothing formally connecting him to that.
Mm-hmm. But
the current coroner is actually the one that found this, because they went back and started reviewing other records around the Murdaughs, and she's like, "Hey, that's weird. Why is this not an accidental death?"
I hate this guy.
So, timeline of events. We'll go actual timeline now.
Okay.
So we have Stephen Smith in 2015.
Okay.
Hit and run victim, according to reports. Maybe not a hit and run victim, maybe a hate crime, potentially. The case is still open.
Okay.
And this happened, I think they said, like a couple miles from the Murdaughs, but like a couple miles, especially in a small town, this could be like the other side of town.
Yeah, it could be.
So,
especially your town.
Yeah, right. My town might not even be a couple miles.
Right.
So, yeah, we have Stephen Smith. Then we have the housekeeper, Gloria's death that was ruled a death by natural causes. People believe it should at least be an accidental death. Nobody in the family got money from this, but Alec Murdaugh did.
Right.
Gosh,
that's so shitty.
2019, we have the boat accident, which is a few months later. Paul was driving.
I don't think that was intentional.
I don't think it was intentional, but I think it's like a situation like a DUI, and one of his charges was like boating under the influence, basically.
He could get manslaughter.
Yeah,
for that.
It's basically similar to a DUI, just with
I guess
a boat.
He can't now, but
right. I mean, you still could. They still will do sometimes, like
I don't
charges
know if they will.
Post-mortem.
Will they?
I think sometimes they do. Sometimes it has to be like civil charges where like the estate or whatever would pay the family, things like that. But there may still be some charges to come out of it, but obviously there's nothing that's going to happen to Paul in terms of going to jail because he's passed away. But 2019, the boat accident, and unfortunately, Mallory Beach passed away in that accident. Again, all accounts, completely great person. All of these victims, nothing but good things people are saying about them. Then you have current 2021, which is the Alec Murdaugh calling 911, and his wife and son, Paul, were found dead. So we have 4 cases here, not counting the financial cases that Alec has against him, which I think they said they had 80 some financial or total cases or something like that against him. So, I mean, he could beat all those charges, but that's a lot of charges to beat.
Yeah. I have one big question.
Go.
What would be the motive for Alec to kill his wife and son?
I am glad you asked that because that brings us to the current state of things.
Okay.
All right, current state of things.
Other than money, because it's probably for an insurance policy.
Well, so according to their attorney, they don't have an insurance policy. He didn't have an insurance policy on them.
Okay.
So the defense attorney said that it's not money.
Okay.
So oddly enough, if you watch the Netflix documentary, you watch 48 Hours, I think you're going to come out of it going, man, 100% they're going to find Alec Murdaugh guilty. You start watching the court cases, the current court case that's going on, that you can actually go to the news station. We'll put a link out there for the news station. That's got a YouTube channel. You go watch that stuff and you go read the comments and you watch all the coverage. He might not get convicted of this. I'm not saying he didn't do it, but he might not get convicted of it. So your shoulders kind of shrugged there. Shrunk.
I'm just baffled.
So, and this is going to be new for anybody who's watched the documentaries. This is going to be kind of new info. We'll get more into this on the deep dive too. But in my opinion, I don't think the prosecution brought a strong case against Alec, unfortunately.
Ooh.
Yeah. There are no murder weapon currently.
Okay.
That is...
Well, he could have disposed of that in that hour.
He could have. But that is also usually something that, is like the layup. Like you get the murder weapon, you're going to get the conviction.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have that. Okay. There was allegedly blood splatter on his clothes.
Allegedly.
The only reason why I say allegedly is in this court case, they disproved the forensics on the blood splatters. So
twist, the blood splatters was from Steven's murder.
Oh gosh, I hope
everything's connected.
I hope not.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, I know you're kidding, but I'm like,
that's not something to kid about. But so how are you disproving blood splatter?
So
that's going to be interesting.
Some of the reports said that they weren't human blood, that it wasn't human blood, and to me that means they didn't even necessarily say if it was blood, because they didn't say it was like animal blood or anything like that. There were some expert from like Oklahoma, I guess, that did a lot of blood analysis, blood splatter analysis. And originally they said the splatters were from high velocity splatters, which I guess would probably mean the splatters would be more spread out, and when they hit, they would hit in a different pattern, basically, on his clothes. Whereas the expert from Oklahoma was like, this is more consistent with transfers, which he did check on his wife and son to see if they were breathing.
That makes sense.
Even in the 911 call,
they would ask him to see.
Well, actually, in the 911 call, they said, "Don't touch them," and he's like, "I already touched them because I was seeing if they were breathing." So he said in the call that he touched them.
Right.
So it may be, even if it was their blood, it's possible it was transfers.
Okay.
The one piece that I do think may get them a conviction here is that his story changed. So his story changed that he said originally at 7:30 he was waking up from having taken a nap. And remember, Paul and Maggie were, yeah, right. Who gets to take a nap at 7:30? I want to take a 7:30 nap.
I know, right?
Paul and Maggie were, the timeline as they have it right now, were murdered at 9 o'clock. He wakes up from taking a nap at 7:30 and says that he goes to visit his parents, and comes back at 10 o'clock where he finds Paul and Maggie. That was his initial story, his initial timeline. So he was not on the property from like 7:30 to 10.
Okay.
Now, this is where some of the evidence gets interesting. Paul had taken I don't think it was Instagram or Snapchat video while he was by their dog kennels with his mom and had Alex's voice in it at 8:44. They were murdered at 9.
Oh no.
So we got a 16-minute gap here.
There's no way.
Well,
as a juror, there's no effing way I would not convict him then. Can
you say that without reasonable doubt with no physical evidence, though? Because that's the problem. There's no real good physical evidence in this case. Because they disproved
I
the
don't
blood
know. I might still say without reasonable doubt. Because what are you going to do in 15 minutes? And you're lying then.
We're going to get into on the deep dive, we're going to get into the murder weapons too, but they were killed.
Were they bludgeoned?
They were shot.
They were shot.
And they were shot with 2 different weapons. One, I might get this wrong here. We'll get it right in the deep dive. I believe Maggie was shot with a shotgun, and Paul was shot with an AR-15 style, very unique gun that had very unique casings. Maggie's gun did not have, it was a shotgun, so I guess it's pretty hard for ballistics to determine what shotgun it came from. But they were shot with 2 different weapons. So does that mean there was 2 different killers? Does that mean that same
or they were
killer
shot at
switched
different
guns?
times.
Possibly. Yeah. And you switched guns in between?
You kill your son, your wife freaks out, so you kill her?
It's possible.
But again, what is the motive then?
Again, we'll get shot We'll get to...
We're not going to get shot, hopefully.
I hope not. We'll get to the shootings and how they happen because I have more details there. Okay. But
we just don't have time. I know.
Yeah, but I believe Maggie was shot in the back, and it was consistent with her fleeing potentially.
Oh, okay.
So it could be like you said, but we don't know. So 2 different murder weapons. You said motive. That's another thing that people are pointing out is the motives are weak. So like nobody's really saying, there's even more of this case. I forgot. There's one more case out there. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh. So sorry, we got everybody. Like 10 minutes. So let's go.
I'm so sorry, everybody. But we'll finish up this and I will tell you another recent thing that happened related to this case. It was after the Paul and Maggie murders. But finishing up this motive was weak. People thought maybe that, and I think that the defense is arguing this, that he was doing this to ease the suspicion on his financial crimes that were going to come out.
I don't think that's going to ease anything.
I know. That's what a lot of people say. That's why a lot of people say the motive's weak. There's also people saying, well, and I think the defense touched on this too. Allegedly, Maggie was meeting with a divorce attorney from a different area, obviously, because the Murdaughs have so much power in the legal space in their area. So, allegedly she was looking for a divorce. Allegedly, financial issues were part of that. Now, the defense attorney says no. They had a perfectly happy marriage. Everything was great. So, that's why I say allegedly. It's because one side saying one thing, the other side saying the other.
Well, that'll come out. If she was looking for a divorce, that'll be coming out.
I would think so, but I don't know how concrete the evidence is for that. But a lot of people are saying, like, she definitely did. So, I mean, it's leaning towards that way. But
so what's the other case?
All right. This is, I can't believe I forgot to mention this. This is how weird this Murdaugh case is. So, after Paul and Maggie's murders, the law firm found out that he was stealing money.
Okay.
They kicked him out of the law firm the next day. Like his family's law firm even. So that's crazy. It's literally named after the Murdaughs, and he got kicked out of it.
I love it.
For embezzling money from his clients, right? Okay. So I think it's the next day or maybe 2 days after, Alec calls 911.
Okay.
Alec was on the side of the road.
He knows that number well.
Yes. He apparently, I think they said he had a flat tire. He was trying to change a tire. He said somebody pulled over to help him try to change a tire. He says when he turned his back on that person tried to shoot him. He had been shot in the head and I think grazed in the head.
I'm laughing because he's a total piece of...
I mean,
yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly!
Most accounts think probably, but we're going to say allegedly.
Allegedly.
So yes, he calls 911. One of the passerbys called 911 and said that like he was on the ground covered in blood, waving, and
nobody has this bad of luck. No one.
And so what's interesting is the passerby called and said that he was laying on the ground covered in blood, waving, and they're like, well, did you stop? And they're like, no, because it actually kind of looked like it was a setup. So the passerby called 911 and literally said, no, we kept going because we felt like maybe it was a setup, but we thought we should still call you guys.
I mean, good on them, because they could have died.
Yeah, I mean,
good on them.
Smart. Okay. That was being safe.
Yeah.
I think they handled that perfect there.
Yeah.
So
there's that too. And that hasn't been settled, right?
Here's where there's still more details on that, though.
Oh my goodness.
So more came out later that Alec had allegedly been trying to hire someone who was his, depends on who you get from this, the person who was supposedly going to be hired says he's a handyman. The other people say that he was Alec's drug dealer. And he was supposedly hiring him to kill Alec, and give Buster the $10 million insurance policy that Alec had on him for it to look like a murder because of his financial issues. Now, according to...
So he hired someone to kill him?
Yes. And according to this handyman, drug dealer, handyman, I don't know. And it comes out in the case, Alec was taking...
and this was after his wife and son was shot? Okay.
And it comes out...
I get that.
It comes out in the case that Alec was taking, according to Alec, this actually happened Friday, so this is very recent. Alec said of the opioids he was taking, it was like Oxycontin, oxycodone. He was taking 60 pills a day. For 20 years, he had been taking pills.
Jeez.
And he said...
that's why all this stuff's happening.
The defense attorney was like, would it be fair to say you were taking 60 pills a day? And he said, well, some days more, some days less.
Jesus.
Yeah. So, and he basically said he'd had a pill full of pockets, or pocket full of pills.
And a pills full of pockets.
Of all the things for me to mess up.
It's talking about drugs.
Right.
Are you on?
No, I'm
okay?
not. Okay. I'm on coffee.
Yeah.
So
this is messy.
So
what? Messy, Alex.
According to the handyman or drug dealer, whatever he's found to be, Alex showed up, or he showed up at Alex's car. Alec had the gun. Alec was trying to hand him the gun, telling him, "Do this, like, shoot me." And the drug dealer handyman said no. And then apparently got in an altercation with Alec and wrestled the gun away from him, according to the handyman here. And during the process of him trying to disarm him, the firearm went off when it was behind Alec's head. So like he was pulling it behind his, my shoulder just popped.
We're old.
I'm old. Pulling it behind his head, and the gun discharged. That's how he got the bullet wound on his head. But the handyman was able to take the gun. I believe his name was Curtis. Was able to take the gun, and when he got the gun, he drove off and left.
So they're both still alive.
They're both still alive. Alec is still on trial, still alive, currently on stand, even testifying as of this Thursday and Friday, which today is like the 25th, I think. So the 23rd and 24th, he was on trial.
Yep, today's 25th.
So he was on the stand those days, and they're thinking next week that they could get to closing arguments, like the middle of next week. So then it'll be up to the jury. So we might start getting a verdict here soon.
Okay.
But in that case, Alec came out and admitted it. Alex went to detox to get off the drugs. He said that he had been on drugs for 20 years. He said that he was trying to hire the handyman to do this. But the handyman is still got charges against him because he may or may not have been part of insurance fraud.
Oh, yeah. There's
and
that.
then also when they went to arrest him, I guess they did find methamphetamines. So he could have been a drug dealer.
Okay.
So, but that is ongoing because that one is the most recent case, and we haven't even got closure on the Maggie and Paul case yet, let alone the boat case, let alone Stephen Smith's case or Gloria's case. So that's probably going to be the last one that we get closure on. Excuse me.
They all did it. Thank you. Bye-bye.
So
they did it all.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot that one. Sorry about that, because that is kind of a big, crazy twist.
Yeah. That's the only one I actually get.
The brother of Alec,
I actually think that one's possible.
The brother of Alec said that he was the reason why he did that was he was very upset and depressed after what happened with his wife and son. So
you're going through a court case. You've got all this stuff going on.
Right.
You're like, why don't somebody take me out and give my kid the money?
Give my kid the money and at least leave my one surviving kid something.
That's the only thing I think he did right. Allegedly. Allegedly.
Let's play devil's advocate here. Let's say he didn't kill his wife and son. And let's say that he was being... he is being accused of it. He's on trial for it.
Is there any other suspects? Did they set him up?
There's no other suspects right now. The defense is claiming, though, vigilantes related to the Mallory case because they say that there's been so much anger towards Paul in this that vigilantes did it.
I could see that.
Now, what's weird about that is, like I said, the piece of evidence, the only piece of hard evidence that I think they could get Alec on is that video from his son, having him there 16 minutes before it happened. But Alec claims, this is where his story changed, he claimed to have gone back to the house right after that video shot, like within minutes after that video shot, and to have, I believe, so this is where it gets a little fuzzy. I think he said that he did still go visit his parents, but that he had gone back. So somebody would have had to come in and shot both his wife and son in that short window after that video was taken. But
they
after
died
he
at 9.
left,
and they died at 9.
right? So he would have had to have left. Somebody would have had to come in, like, and there's, they're like,
It's possible.
They're like, are you saying somebody was waiting out in the woods? Because it's a wooded area. And
Yeah.
they're like, was somebody waiting out in the woods for him to leave? I
don't know. It's slim.
But that's the piece that's kind of hard there against him on that. But let's say that did happen.
They
right?
shot the mom, though. Why would they wait for the dad to leave?
Yeah, I mean, so it could be like you said. It could be that they didn't want witnesses. Maybe they didn't know the mom was there.
Yeah.
And maybe they shot her after, not knowing that she was going to see them.
I got to shut up because I'm going to go forever.
Yeah, well, that's why we're going to do a deep dive.
I know. We need to do the deep dive.
So, but the devil's advocate thing I was saying. So if Alec did not do this, right? And he has, like you said, all these financial things that he's admitted to doing. He's admitting to doing these financial things, but not admitting to the murders. And you got to imagine he's probably in a pretty bad state. Not only that, but like heavily addicted to drugs.
Yeah.
And, and this is another potential motive. They said they believe that that Paul and Maggie found some stashes of drugs that he had hidden in like a laptop case. We're going to talk to him about it because I think he was supposed to be detoxing. So
intervention type thing.
That was another thing people said were kind of motive. But if he didn't do it on the devil's advocate side of things, you could see where he would be in a depressed state of mind.
Even if he did do it.
Even if he did do it, but trying to come off of pain pills, trying to deal with the death of his son and wife, trying to deal with the fact that he's no longer in his law firm, doesn't know what he's probably going to do money-wise. I mean, he's probably in a very suicidal place. No matter what, devil's advocate or not, he's probably was not in a good place at that point.
Yeah.
So that, I agree with you, may be the real one of this whole thing, that he was in a bad place. He decided he was going to take his own life. This was kind of funny, but there's comments saying, like, I can't remember if this was from a legal analyst or not, but they were saying the reason why he was going to hire somebody is he didn't know if his insurance would pay out or not in case of suicide. So he wanted it to look like a murder.
Yeah.
Well, he's a lawyer. How is he not going to know what his insurance policy is?
That's true. Yeah.
So that's he's
drugged up. He probably doesn't remember.
Well, that's another thing. People were saying, they're like, how is he doing this?
Functioning.
How is he functioning as an attorney on 60 pills a day?
Right.
So there's a lot out here with this case.
Yeah. You did.
I kind of want to wrap up here
by
on
the
the
way.
summary. I told Sarah on this, I'm going to shoot for 10 minutes. This is not 10 minutes.
No.
Where are we at? Like 30, 40?
I mean, we're getting close to like having to be done.
Like an hour?
It's 1:37.
We started at like, oh man. Well, okay.
We started at like 12.
I did not hit the hour or the 10 minutes, obviously. I went over an hour at just the summary. So I am sorry for that, guys.
It's okay.
If this is the summary, the deep dive is going to be multi-part. I told Sarah
we
to
might
go
have
ahead.
to add some on Patreon, to be honest.
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll figure it out.
I want people to get to hear this too.
That's
so
true.
like, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. We do have a Patreon out there with some bonus episodes. So we will add to that, but we'll see if this is one of them or not.
The Patreon might just be me ranting for an hour.
Yeah.
I'm sure y'all love
Going
that.
off like yeah, maybe
Rich white men.
maybe there will be a just Patreon of Sarah rants.
Yep, that'd be actually a really good idea.
Just you post rant off of all these cases.
Yes, let's do that. Thank you guys for listening.
I am sorry I talk so much. My throat
okay.
is going out. Like
this was really, really good. I'm very impressed by you.
I told Sarah to go ahead and start digging into now after we do this to go ahead and start digging into these Murdaugh mysteries, because I want her, when we do the deep dive, to also be able to go back and forth with me on them, because there's so many details in it that I think there's no way I would cover it all by myself.
Mm-hmm.
So this deep dive may be a little different. We may both get educated up on the case, and
kind of what I'm thinking, and I don't know if we're going to do this because I haven't even thrown it to Drew, but to like actually do a video on every single one of these cases.
we really
Stephen,
could.
Gloria, the boat case, and then do a couple parts on the other.
The only thing weird about it is the timeline.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, Stephen's case didn't really get brought to light until after.
But I think it's super important, so I want to do that.
No, it's very important. But I'm just saying, like, if we release Stephen's case first, it's going to be confusing because it didn't really get brought to light until Paul and Maggie's murders.
Right.
Same with Gloria's case. Like, it happened before the boat accident, but it didn't really get brought to light before Paul and Maggie's murders. But the boat accident was huge news, and that was like the first thing against the Murdaughs, where their whole empire, if you want to call it, starts crumbling.
Right.
So, and the boat case, there's so many. That boat case I could spend forever talking about. There's GPS, there's cameras everywhere. There's literally videos of Paul buying the alcohol, videos of Paul and Connor going into the bar, getting shots, like so much on that boat case. And it is so horrible because honestly, I feel so bad for everybody involved in that.
Yeah. Well, get ready for the next month of Murdaugh Murders.
Yeah, this might be the next multi-part Casey Anthony one.
Yeah.
And she is actually working on a multi-parter herself. So
I am.
We got stuff coming.
Buckle
Stay
up.
tuned.
Okay. Well, thank you guys. We're coming at you with more, we promise.
We're back in the swing of things.
And yeah. What's your last words?
Stay
away from the Murdaughs at all costs.
Yes. But we love you guys, and I always try to do like one kind of thing to take away, I guess, one positive. I know it was boating under the influence, but please do not drink and drive. It is always better to Uber. It is always better to have a sober friend take you. If you drink and drive, I'm not as worried about you as the other lives you might take. Because you made the decision to drink and drive. That's your decision. But again, allegedly, Mallory and everybody else was scared of Paul and his driving, and a lot of people were like, we should have just not gone with him. We thought we could maybe trust him, but we were wrong. And Paul took, in my opinion, Mallory's life. And he's not the one who paid the consequences. She is. Her family is. Anthony is. Her friends did. Like, drinking and driving doesn't affect... It does affect you, but man, the other people you could affect, just please don't. Please don't do it.
Yep.
That's my piece.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Bye.
Hi guys, I just wanted to say I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like any of the content for Code 187, please click that subscribe button, that like button, that share button. Help us out, help us grow. You can find us on your favorite podcast platforms. Yeah, check us out on there. Give us some ratings. Tell us what you think. We're also across every social media on Code 187. So we're on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I think that's it. And of course, YouTube. So please, please, please subscribe if you like our content and spread the word. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.